I never thought that the place I feared the most as a child would become the place I actually stepped into. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a movie. And it wasn't a story someone made up to scare children into behaving. No. This was real. It was my second abortion. And while doctors were fighting to bring me back, I was already gone. My body was on the table, but my soul was somewhere else. I heard screams before I saw anything. I smelled smoke before I opened my eyes. And when I finally looked around, I realized I was not in the hospital anymore. I was in hell. And just when I thought there was no escape, something happened that I will never forget. Jesus himself stepped into that place of torment, pulled me out, and gave me a message. A message for you, for this generation, and for every soul who still thinks they have time. This is my story, and I beg you to listen till the very end, because your eternity may depend on it. But before I share this life-changing testimony, I want to pause and say thank you. To everyone who has been faithfully following these stories, sharing them, and leaving your thoughts in the comments, thank you. You are not just part of a channel, you are part of a family, a community that is spreading light in a world full of darkness. Each time you share, each time you comment, you become a voice of warning and hope for someone who may be standing one step away from eternity. I cannot tell this story without first honoring those who have made it possible for more people to hear it, you. So as you listen, remember this, you are part of something bigger. Together, we are reminding the world that heaven is real, hell is real, and that every soul matters. I grew up hearing about God, but never really knowing him. My parents took me to church sometimes, but to me, it was more of a routine, a Sunday habit, not a relationship. I remember the hymns, the prayers, the preacher raising his voice about heaven and hell, but deep inside, I thought they were just stories. By the time I turned 16, my life was already spiraling. My father had left home, and my mother was overwhelmed, working 2 jobs just to keep us alive. Nobody really noticed the emptiness inside me. I carried it quietly, but it burned deep. I longed for love, attention, someone who would make me feel like I mattered. That longing led me to my first boyfriend. He was older, charming, and for the first time I felt wanted. But with him came things I wasn't ready for, parties, alcohol, and a lifestyle that whispered freedom but delivered chains. I called myself a Christian when people asked, but I knew the truth, I was lukewarm, standing halfway in the world and halfway in church. When I got pregnant the first time, I was terrified. I still remember sitting on the bathroom floor, staring at the test in my trembling hands, whispering, "God, what do I do?" But I didn't wait for his answer. My boyfriend said, "We can't have this baby. You'll ruin your life. Just get rid of it." I was too scared to fight him. I went through with the abortion. The pain of it, physically and emotionally, stayed with me, but I buried it under fake smiles and louder laughter. I told myself it was necessary, that I had no choice. But every night, I would cry myself to sleep, haunted by the thought, what if I had just trusted God? Instead of learning, I repeated the same mistakes. Different relationship, same choices, same emptiness. By 21, I found myself pregnant again. I had promised myself I would never do it a second time, but fear has a way of making you break your own vows. This time, I didn't even pray. I was hardened, angry at myself, angry at God, angry at life. I told myself hell wasn't real, that God would forgive me later, that I had time to get things right. Deep down, though, I was terrified. What if the preachers were right? What if every warning I ignored was true? The day of the procedure, I felt numb. I signed the papers with shaking hands. The nurse smiled at me, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. Something inside me screamed, "Don't do it," but I silenced it. I thought it would be like the first time, pain, guilt, but then life moving on. I was wrong. Because that day, on that table, my life ended. And everything I thought I knew about God, hell, and eternity, became horrifyingly real. The day of my second abortion started like any other, but there was a heaviness in my spirit that I couldn't shake. I remember looking at myself in the mirror that morning and barely recognizing the girl staring back at me. My eyes looked tired, my smile was forced. Deep inside, I whispered, "God, if you're real, forgive me." But the truth is, I didn't wait for him to answer. The clinic was cold, lifeless. The walls were painted a pale color that felt more like a warning than comfort. I sat in the waiting room with other women, each of us silent, lost in our own thoughts. When they called my name, my legs felt like lead. I wanted to run, but shame held me in place. They laid me on the table, the bright surgical light blinding above me. The smell of disinfectant filled my nostrils. I closed my eyes as the nurse told me to relax. But I couldn't relax. My heart was pounding like a drum. My body shook as tears slipped from the corners of my eyes. Then, everything went wrong. I felt a sharp pain, then dizziness. The room spun. I tried to speak, but my lips wouldn't move. Panic rushed through me. The nurse's voice grew faint. "Doctor, we're losing her." I heard machines beeping, footsteps rushing, commands being shouted. But within seconds, all the sounds of earth faded away. I felt myself leaving my body. At first, it was strange, almost peaceful, like floating. I could see them working on me, doctors frantic, the nurse pressing my chest, shouting. But I was above it all, detached. Then, a darkness began to pull me downward. At first it was just shadows, a tunnel without light. But soon, I heard it, the screaming. Endless, piercing screams that made my soul tremble. The sound grew louder and louder as I was dragged deeper. I tried to fight it, but I couldn't. Something stronger than me had me bound. The smell hit me next, sulfur, like rotten eggs and burning rubber mixed together, so thick I could taste it. My chest tightened. I wanted to cover my nose, but I had no body anymore. All I had was the unbearable realization, I am going somewhere I do not want to go. Then I saw them. Shapes in the darkness, twisted, tormented figures. Their eyes glowed with despair. Their mouths stretched open in cries that never ended. Some clawed at their faces, others beat their heads against unseen walls. They were people. Real people. Lost souls. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Terror gripped me. Regret crushed me. I thought of my mother. I thought of the children I had never allowed to live. I thought of every warning I ignored. Every time I said, "I'll get right with God later." Later was gone. This was now. The descent grew hotter. Flames burst up in flashes around me, illuminating horrors my mind can barely describe, creatures with twisted faces, laughing at my fear. Chains rattling in the distance. Rivers of fire, with bodies thrashing inside, crying for mercy that never came. A voice whispered to me in the dark, "This is where liars, fornicators, and the blood of the innocent are repaid." The words pierced me, because I knew I was guilty. I tried to pray, but it was too late. The weight of judgment pressed on me, and all I could do was weep silently, as the reality of hell wrapped its claws around me. And just when I thought there was no return, something happened that changed everything. The deeper I sank, the heavier the air became. It wasn't just heat anymore, it was oppression, like a weight pressing down on me so strong that I felt crushed even without a body. Every scream, every cry of torment echoed endlessly, bouncing inside my soul until I thought I would lose my mind. I landed hard on what felt like solid ground, but it wasn't earth. It was jagged, burning rock that seemed alive, pulsing with heat, oozing with something like molten fire. Each step scorched me, yet there was no escape from it. Around me, souls wandered, staggering in circles. Some screamed names of people they once knew, as though hoping for rescue. Others clawed at the burning floor, trying to bury themselves, only to rise again in agony. Their eyes met mine, hollow and desperate, and I knew they saw in me the same truth, I was one of them now. Then the demons came. They were hideous, nothing like the cartoon devils people laugh about on Earth. These were beings twisted beyond imagination, their forms shifting in grotesque ways. One had the head of a beast with horns curling backward, its mouth dripping with fire. Another was thin and skeletal, with wings that stank of decay. They laughed when they saw me. Another one sneered, its voice like metal scraping glass. "This one is guilty," another growled. "She shed innocent blood." At that moment, I knew they were speaking of my abortions. The weight of guilt fell on me like an avalanche. I dropped to the ground, weeping, "God, forgive me." I didn't know, but even as I cried, the demons mocked me. One pointed a claw at me and hissed, "You had a chance. Many chances. But you chose us." Then it let out a laugh that chilled me more than fire ever could. Suddenly, I was dragged by invisible chains toward what looked like a pit, deeper and darker than the place I already stood. Flames shot upward from it, and the smell of burning flesh made me gag. Souls were tossed in, screaming, their cries cutting through the darkness like knives. As I was pulled closer, I saw rivers of fire and rivers of blood. Souls floated in them, begging for release, their faces twisted in horror. Some tried to climb out, only to be dragged back by unseen forces. In one river, I saw women crying out, holding their bellies. A voice whispered, "These are the mothers who took life from the womb." My knees buckled. I knew I belonged there. I tried to back away, but the chains dragged me forward. My mind raced, "This is it. This is forever. There is no second chance here." The screams of babies echoed faintly in the air, whether real or in my conscience, I do not know, but it tore me apart. I saw a woman who looked directly at me, her eyes wide with regret. She cried, "Don't come here. Don't do what I did." But her warning only deepened the horror, because I was already there. The demons shoved me toward the edge of the pit. My soul trembled. I felt the heat rising, searing me even before I touched the flames. I cried out one last time, "Jesus, please, save me." For a moment everything paused. The demons froze, their laughter stopped. The chains around me shook violently as if resisting something greater. Then, light. It pierced through the darkness like a sword. Bright, blinding, pure. The ground shook beneath me. The demons shrieked, covering their faces. The chains snapped. And I fell, not into the pit, but into the arms of mercy. The light that broke through hell was unlike anything I had ever seen. It wasn't just brightness, it was purity itself. Every shadow fled from it, every scream hushed for a moment, and every demon shrank back in terror. I covered my face, but the light wasn't burning me. It was healing me. For the first time since I died, I felt peace. Warmth. Love that wrapped around me like a blanket. And then I saw him. Jesus. Not a painting, not an image from Sunday school, but the living, breathing Son of God. His eyes met mine, and in that single gaze, I felt both exposed and embraced. Every sin I had ever committed flashed before me, yet his eyes told me something I could hardly believe: you are loved. You are forgiven. I fell to my knees, weeping. Lord, I don't deserve this. I killed my own children. I turned my back on you. I chose the world. His voice was like rushing waters yet gentle as a whisper. My daughter, you were blind, but now you see. You were lost, but I came to find you. Your time has not yet come. I sobbed, clinging to his feet, afraid to ever let go. Please, don't send me back there. Don't let me fall again. He lifted me with hands that bore the scars of the cross. I did not bring you here to condemn you but to send you. You must go back. Tell them what you have seen. Tell them that hell is real, but so is my mercy. Tell them that the blood of the innocent cries out, but my blood speaks a better word. Tell them I am still willing to forgive. His words pierced through me like fire and honey at the same time, burning away guilt, filling me with sweetness I never knew. Then his tone grew urgent. Time is short. Too many are living as though eternity is a game. Too many think they can repent tomorrow. But tomorrow is not promised. Go back. Warn them. Tell them to repent, to turn from their sins, to embrace my cross. For I am coming soon. Tears streamed down my face as I nodded. Yes, Lord. I'll tell them. I'll tell everyone. And then, with one last look of love so deep it broke me, he said, remember, no sin is too great for my mercy, but no soul can escape hell without me. Go. Suddenly, I felt myself pulled backward. The light faded, the warmth lifted, and I was rushing upward, faster than I could comprehend. The screams of hell grew distant until they were gone. Then I gasped. My eyes flew open, and I was back on the hospital table. Doctors shouted in relief, she's back. We've got her. The nurse wiped sweat from her forehead. Machines beeped rapidly. But all I could think was, I had seen hell. I had seen Jesus. And I had been sent back with a message that cannot be silenced. When I opened my eyes in that hospital bed, I wasn't the same person anymore. The doctors and nurses saw just another patient who had survived a medical complication. But inside, I knew I had survived something far worse, eternal separation from God. I wept uncontrollably, not just from relief, but from conviction. I kept whispering, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for another chance. Every breath felt borrowed, every heartbeat a gift. The girl who had walked into that clinic died that day, but a new woman rose up in her place. The old me, the one who chased love in the wrong arms, who silenced her conscience, who thought God would wait forever, she was gone. I couldn't return to my old life. I ended the toxic relationship immediately. I went back home, and for the first time in years, I fell on my knees in my room and prayed, not a rehearsed prayer, not a religious chant, but a broken cry of surrender. From that day forward, I couldn't keep silent. I told my family, my friends, even strangers, hell is real, and Jesus is the only way out. I began reading the Bible with new eyes. Every verse about mercy, every warning about judgment, burned like fire in my spirit. I stopped treating sin lightly. Gossip, lies, lust, unforgiveness, things I once excused, I now saw as chains the enemy uses to drag souls to the very place I had seen. And I refused to live that way anymore. Jesus didn't just save me from hell, he saved me from myself. My life's mission became simple, to warn, to love, to point others to the one who rescued me when I had no hope left. Friend, listen to me carefully, hell is not a story. It is not a myth. It is not a place for bad people somewhere far away. It is real. I was there. I smelled it. I heard the screams. I felt the hopelessness. And if Jesus had not stepped in, I would be there forever. But here's the truth, you don't have to go there. No matter what you've done, his mercy is greater. Don't wait until it's too late. Tomorrow is not promised. Remember this, hell is real. Heaven is real. And eternity is only one heartbeat away. I've shared my story not to scare you, but to wake you up. I stood on the edge of eternity, and Jesus gave me a second chance. What will you do with yours? Do you believe hell is real? Have you ever had an encounter that changed the way you see eternity? I want to hear your thoughts, please share them in the comments. If this story has touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening. Stay ready, stay watchful. May God keep you safe, always.